Welcome to the presentation. So we'll quickly move on to the first slide, which is let's start with what is the state of agentic AI today. If you generally see, there is a lot of buzz about agentic, and in general, we see that there is a lot of pressure on most enterprises to firstly bring change using agentic, and you are also expected to show value. And all this is because we are at an inflection point in agentic. And the inflection point is driving very large disruptions in the human productivity, in the enterprise operating models, and at industries, at various industries at large. So, with these kind of pressures coming on all levels of management, we are seeing there are distinct trends in the agentic space. The first is almost every enterprise today is stuck in the proof of concept fog, where every company is trying to do a lot of agentic experimentations, and very few of those experiments are reaching production stage or return on investment stage. Secondly, there is also a gap in terms of the kind of data you need for running agents, because many times there are standard, very cookie cutter agents, hundreds of vendors are offering them. The moment you come to certain specific process centric agents, which we will be talking more, you need enterprise specific training data for running these models, and that's a big gap. And thirdly, it is also the vendor lock-in, where because of the sense of urgency, we are all focusing on picking up one ecosystem vendor and trying to put all our dollars into that particular vendor. That is limiting us from the art of possible, because this agentic space is fast changing and fast evolving. And the last is we are all looking at agentic to be like more of a technology play. It is more of an operating model play. So we need to look at how humans and agents are going to interplay as a target state operating model. So bringing all this together, you see there is a promise and there is a reality. And the gap between these two is what we are trying to address at Skan AI with our journey in the process agent space. Dayton, would you like to add anything on this?
Yeah, I think from the business side, there's a couple of things that from the kind of school of hard knocks that I wanted to share with folks out there trying to go into production. First, some of the challenges in that proof of concept on the business side is some people don't get a clear business case, or they kind of underestimate the value that's going to be created. So having a comprehensive kind of multi-year view of what your savings are going to look like, I think is absolutely important there. The other thing that folks don't understand sometimes, and we didn't understand it when we came out of the gates, is that sometimes the technology works fine, but to realize the value, you have to reorganize how work gets done to move FTE out of the system or redeploy them to some other part. And so we stared at it for a little while. And once we realized the work isn't done around organizational design after deployment, we actually saw some of the hard benefits. Skan does something very well in this data metrics area, which is sometimes it's impossible to see your own processes because there's so much variability in there. In being able to have a clean data set, being able to have solid data governance and having a great foundation is the prerequisite to being able to pull this off. And I think the last thing around the missing playbook, I think the missing playbook is at sometimes the function of having a missing team. And so this is a team sport. So when you're deploying a team to do this, to build the playbook, it's a business process owner, it's a data analyst, it's a Six Sigma leader, it is a change management person. You have to put the whole team on the field in order to get things out of pilot into deployment and then to kind of capture and recognize the value.
Thanks, Dayton.
Sure.
Can we switch to the slide, please? Sorry, the clicker is not working, so there will be some manual back and forth on slide switching. So this is a vast opportunity, as we all appreciate, because we are fundamentally driving an industry level change. And this brings a question like, is there one vendor or one tool that will be enough for an enterprise? Definitely no. And that's why we see explosion in terms of the number of vendors. Just in this conference, you'll probably find a few hundred vendors. And then at an industry level, you're probably going to see a few thousand vendors at play. But essentially, we are trying to classify these vendors because we want to analyze where we fit in this ecosystem. So on the extreme left, you will see vendors who are very focused on personal agents. The focus is on improving personal productivity. And these are typical email automations or document automations and various kinds of routine tasks that are getting automated through agents. Now move to the right, you'll see platform agents, where the likes of Salesforce, ServiceNow, and NICE and few other companies are launching agents which are trained on their specific data models and their specific processes. So you still live within the ecosystem of those platforms, which is fine. We are serving a purpose, but there is a containment. As you move to the right, you will see the role for a process agent. And what we mean by process agents is when you look at an enterprise, you're running very complex processes which run your transactions, which are basically entire customer journey is being automated through these processes. Now, this is where the role of process agents come into play, where you are cutting across your various systems of records, transaction master sources, and complex decisioning involved, various kinds of exceptions. So this is the most complex area where we see enterprises struggling with today. And if you go from left to right, you will see that most of investment today is locked in on the left side with very little ROI to show. Come to the right, you will find that very little investment because it's a struggle area, and this is the highest ROI area for us. We were talking to one of the chief AI officers of an insurance company, and he basically made a very nice statement. He said, oh, I love Agentic because all the agents we are developing are the biggest beneficiaries of those agents are our operators because they can go home early and spend more time with their pets and families. But at an enterprise level, there is no P&L impact. And that's the reality of the process agents. Can we go to the next one, please? Yes, thank you. Let's go a little deeper into what drives the ROI for these process agents. Now, when you look at most companies today, almost 60 to 70% of our operating budgets are locked in labor compensation costs. If you have to make any dent in the productivity or the cost structure of a company, you have to touch into the areas where humans are actively involved. And that is where you see that most value chains, whether it is inquiry to onboarding, which is the early part of customer journey, or transaction to fulfillment, most of the customer journey is locked into this space. And then there is trouble to resolve or issue to resolution, which is customer service area. So traditionally, humans are locked into these areas. And that is where we see there is a big opportunity for process agents. But these process agents are essentially meant to do 5 things, which is there has to be a goal, which is definition of what is the business outcome. Then there is a strong element of process, where it is a sequential execution of certain activities. There's a context, which brings enterprise data, master data sources, customer history, and so many other things. Then there are various tools and actions to be required. And then last but not the least, you want to continuously optimize your processes. So when you bring all these 5 elements together, this is where the process agents get very complex. I mean, they are complex, but they are at the heart of generating ROI from Agentic. And this requires a paradigm shift in our outlook from task automation to outcome automation. So that's where we are going. You want to add anything?
The only thing I'll add is, and you said it nicely, which was outcome automation. Nobody's buying technology for the sake of technology. And I had been previously a vendor as well as a customer using technology. To get the cases approved, you have to be delivering an outcome. You have to be moving costs out of the system. It's absolutely doable. And a lot of people make the mistake of focusing only on productivity. Productivity is nice. But the purpose of management is to make sure that the productivity is there. I will tell you a funny anecdote, though. Using the Skan technology, we'd been talking to an operations team who had told me how hard they've been working, and they had no time, they had no capacity. And after we deployed that technology, we took a peek and found that 20 to 30% of the time was used on social media sites and other areas that weren't necessarily driving productivity and production. But I leave that not to the business case, I leave that to management to go get sorted out, but the technology is there.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah.
So what makes process agents different, right? I mean, there are many types of agents. I'd like to start with an analogy. If you're looking at a fast food chain, like you are going to a burger chain shop or pizza, like what we get, there is a cookie cutter menu available. You just have to pick and choose what is offered by the restaurant or the chain. Now, this is exactly what is happening in the personal and platform agents, where they are trained on generic models, which are commodity. There's no differentiation, not specifically trained on your enterprise data. And this is where most of the commodity large language models are at play. Switch to the right. Just imagine you are hiring a personal chef who works in your kitchen with your gadgets for your nutritional preferences, for your menu, and basically they are at your service, trained to deliver exactly what you expect from your chef. That is exactly what process agents are meant to do. They are supposed to be driving your enterprise processes in the enterprise data models, with your enterprise compliance, decision rules. At the heart of this whole process agents lies your competitive advantage. Now, if everybody is using the same agents, like there are hundreds of companies who can access agents which are available in the marketplace today, how are you going to make any difference to your competitive differentiators or advantage? In the long run, it's a net neutral game. But the process agents are going to be the ones where you will continue to thrive on your competitive advantage. And that is where the large action models come into play, which are the next evolution of language models, specifically embedding the actions and the processes that your organization runs. So maybe let's go to the next one. And the big question, why are process agents so difficult to build? Now, at the heart of this whole process agents is the word agentic. Now, agentic stems from the keyword human agency. Like agentic is not a technology term, it's basically agentifying or applying technology to the human agency. That's where this whole word is, or the word comes from. Now, what defines human agency? So there are three terms that come to my mind when I say human agency. The first is our ability to abstract and reason with incomplete information. That's what defines us. You put an operator on a call center, they don't have all the information, they still make decisions day in and day out in real time. Then there is a tacit dimension where humans know a lot of things, but we cannot tell why we did certain things. And that is an embedded knowledge or muscle memory, you can call it. Then the third element is the accountability. Okay, I did a lot of things, but then I'm also accountable for it. I know that what is the consequence of my actions. Now, when you combine all these three, that's what makes the process agents very unique, because now I have to emulate these three concepts in an automation tool or an agent. And for that, we also need to look at the human operators. How they work is we have ability to sense, ability to think and reason, then act, and then learn. So if humans are able to do this, why can't process agents be trained to do this? And that is at the heart of today's discussion. Now, to train these agents, it's not easy because you need to learn, you need to train them on many inputs. And we have identified a few inputs which we have tried to capture as the meta model of training these agents, or call it as a taxonomy of this agentic training model. And it includes the process elements, task elements, the documents we touch, the actions we perform, the date and timestamps, environment variables, the systems we touch. This is not comprehensive. By the way, I'm just capturing the key elements, but it goes much beyond this because we have to touch many parameters. Now, when you look at this complexity, the missing link here from the personal and the platform agents to the process agents is the training data. Where does this data come from? If you have to train agents that are specific to your enterprise, performing your specific enterprise processes with your competitive advantages. And that's what we'll go next. Yeah. So just imagine you're like Tesla and then you're building your self-driving cars. How do you train the self-driving cars? You don't sit and program how cars have to be driven. You have basically installed sensors, cameras, and various other tools which are capturing every event that humans are performing when they are driving. And then this data is downloaded to train your models for your self-driving car. Now, if process agents have to behave like human agents, shouldn't we be doing the same? Observe what humans do, capture the data, and model the large action models. That's what is the baseline of how we are approaching from Skan. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So our philosophy, we sum it up as observation to agent. Essentially, what Skan does is Skan is a process intelligence platform built on the digital twin technology, and AI is at the heart of it. But until the advent of agentic approach, we were basically a good process intelligence platform generating various types of analytics, the data, models, to show you how your work is performed. But now we have found that the data we are collecting is essentially the raw material, or it's basically the key ingredient to train your agentic models. And this is what we learned working with our customers, that the data we have been generating by observing how operators perform is basically able to predict every action, and using that data, we are now able to create agents. And this is what we have been doing. As a next step, we'll explain how we are doing it. And I'll show you two demos quickly to validate these concepts. The first is the concept of digital twin. Now, you are seeing Skan in action here, where Skan is observing what an operator is doing. It's looking at all the screens, recordings. It also converts those recordings into understandable data models. And then it generates these kind of process models, data analytics, predictive models, etc. So this is the basic foundation of what Skan does. Now, using these models and the data we generate here, we are now able to train the process agents. So let's click. So this is the heart of what Skan does, basically generating all the telemetry of work data. And now we have created this Skan large action model, which basically is a transformer model using the action embeddings that we have captured by observation. The concept is very simple. We observe, we create a digital twin, we use the data from digital twin. Using the transformer model, we generate the agents. Now, this is the core concept. And the next slide is a little bit tricky, where I'm going to show you how our process agent is going to run in a claims adjudication scenario. Just pause. Okay. Maybe, yes, thank you. So here I'm showing you claims adjudication agent in action. Basically, this has been trained using the Skan digital twin data. And what we have done is, on the right side, you will see a script appearing. That is the Skan large action model in action. It is exactly telling how the brain is working, step by step, what decisions are being taken, what data is being considered. Everything is appearing here. And on the left side, you will see the actual claims agent in action. And this agent is going to perform a complete claims adjudication action, all the way from logging into the Guidewire Claim Center, looking at the list of claims, picking up a claim, looking at the context, policy endorsements, undertaking various decisions in terms of whether to pay the policy, pend it, or deny it, and then taking it all the way through completing the transaction. This is not what a traditional automation tool like an RPA bot or other kinds of automations would do, because firstly, this is goal-oriented. You can click it, please. Yeah. So firstly, there is a goal aspect. So the goal we have defined in the SLAM or large action model is either pay the claim, deny the claim, or pend the claim, or keep it pending. Second is, we have given a complete context to it, where the model knows exactly what is the policy endorsement, the history of this customer, past payment histories, past disputes, everything it has the ability to analyze. It also knows the complete actions that it has to perform, and then it also knows the optimization. These models are trained for optimization, where there are 3 parameters given to this model here. One is optimize for CSAT, customer satisfaction. Second is to optimize for the time, because if you have faster turnaround time, your customer CSAT automatically goes up. Third is the compliance. You need to be highly compliant to the enterprise rules and governance here. So we have given these 3 as a constraining factors, and then you will see how this agent is performing within those boundaries. So essentially, the lift we are going to see here is, and this has been in production for one of our customers right now, where one human agent is able to operate or look at 10 or 15 automated claims process agents, and every time there is an exception which the agent or the process agent is not able to solve, it throws an error, and then human goes and fixes it. It learns from it, and next time if the same error happens, it is aware of how to solve the problems. So this is what we have been achieving so far in terms of our journey on a process agent technology. And we're not there yet. It is a long journey, because we have to evolve this into so many other factors as we go to more complex organizations. But then I just wanted to share the whole journey and the background and the concepts here. Dayton, you would like to summarize?
Let me just wrap up, because I can see the shot clock is about to go off. You know, from the enterprise perspective, what we care about is making sure you get value today, you're going to get value tomorrow, and it's about partner selection. So we look at like the left side of that slide, and the building the digital twin, process optimization, process automation. They have it in spades today. I've used it in spades. It's breathtaking to see that technology in action, and it's a natural extension to go up into Agentic. That's why we worked with you. I know that's why enterprises around the world are working with you. And I would encourage people, especially anybody who's going to be taking on any projects, to make sure that you have all of those different elements of the layer in there. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself hung up. And I know for a fact, having worked with you, that Skan has that. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.